Hello everyone, welcome to Adventures in Who, your local gibby, gabby, chittin' and chattin' Doctor Who podcast. I'm Martin.
I'm Tash.
A less breaded version of Tash this week.
Yes.
I am
Actually, we're
giddy
bread.
with anticipation to hear what Tash thought
God.
about this week, because we've not spoken about it at all yet. I'm so excited to hear what you've got to say about this. No real news to talk about that I really want to talk about. The only thing that really happened was there was an article put out in a newspaper tabloid in the UK here about why Ncuti has been booted off of the show because of walking out of Eurovision, which makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. If he's not on the show anymore, it happened months ago. It didn't just happen last week because he decided to walk out on Eurovision. That's not how that works. It's just bad faith, stupid.
The newspaper's just like a really unbelievable newspaper in general. It's not even really news. It's just
it's just for the clicks. It's for the clicks. That kind of garbage, and just bad faith. I don't really want to. It's a thing. That's my opinion on it. It's a bunch of poo-poo. And then I also expect any real interesting news is probably going to drop either this week or after the final episode airs. That's probably when, if we're going to get anything of note or interest, that's probably when that's going to happen. In place of the news, friend of the show, Randomer, got in touch on Discord and was making some observations and asking some questions. And I think it's interesting just because Randomer's train of thought on all this is kind of what I feel is the big issue with this era. Kind of summed up in this comment that she left us, and I'm just going to read it all out, and then we'll go talk about it just a little bit before we get into this episode review. So Randomer said that the bi-generation of Mrs. Flood into the Rani. Now I kind of saw that being who she was, having gone back to the old episodes and the whole bringing up the past going on. That being who Mrs. Flood is, not my problem. My problem is the bi-generation. I thought it was concluded that the Doctor could do it due to being the toy maker back in the day. So are we now saying it's not just the Doctor, but every Time Lord who can do this? If so, is it a result of the toy maker tricking the Doctor when this was his prize or whatever? Or are we saying it's just something all the Time Lords do forever and always? The fuck is going on? Martin, help me with this lore. So obviously this is a very specific question that Randomer had, but it does paint a bigger picture situation here where even people who aren't like new to the show are having like these bamboozled questions of what is going on? What does this all mean anymore? How does it make any sense? So just for Randomer's sake, because I know she's a couple of episodes behind, so she'll get to this eventually. She'll hear this explanation a bit, but in terms of the bi-generation as it has been explained thus far, in the 60th anniversary when the Doctor bi-generated, it was kind of explained that the reason it happened was because of the toy maker's influence on the universe at that point, that it allowed something that the Time Lords considered to be a myth. That's how rare it is. Remember that, folks. That's how rare a bi-generation is supposed to be, is that the Time Lords thought it was a myth. And it just so happens the next Time Lord we met also bi-generated. But that is essentially why the bi-generation happened there in that instance. I hated it, but at least it had some sort of an explanation as to why it happened. Now, with Mrs. Flood bi-generating, or the Rani, because they're both the Rani, of course, I guess the argument is that influence still exists with the Pantheon still reigning, and the thing that it seemed to imply, which is the real weird thing, is that the Rani, the most recent version, is the definitive version of the character, whilst the one that is left behind split off is like some kind of lesser version, some kind of like, well, they'll just, I don't know, die and fade off at some point, whilst all of us kind of thought originally, like where it came to David Tennant and Ncuti Gatwa, is that eventually the 14th Doctor would catch up to the point where he does regenerate into the 15th Doctor, and which is where it got very confusing and muddy, because it's like, what, does he just regenerate into Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor, and then he just has the adventures that we've seen, even though we've seen the version of this Doctor go off and have these? It makes no sense. In an essence, it makes no sense. There's no way you can draw the lines and be like, that's how that happens. Like, so basically what we've got now is a situation where there are 2 doctors just floating around. There's 2 of them in existence.
Yep.
Whether or not the 14th Doctor eventually regenerates or just fades away and dies because they're the split off version that exists, we don't know. We now live currently in our current timeline of this show, finale notwithstanding, there are 2 doctors in existence. There are now 2 Ranis in existence. And that's kind of where we stand. And even though it's so bizarre that this episode is so hinged around the fact that there's 2 Ranis in existence, and yet we're not even going to acknowledge the fact that there's 2 doctors in existence. We're not even going to remotely talk about it. But yeah, that's the law as to this bi-generation, as far as I understand it, from what the show has presented. I'm not going off of what Russell has said behind the scenes or in commentaries, because that isn't in the show, Russell. What you say off camera to the side is not what is actually in the fiction in the show that we are seeing. So it doesn't count, I'm afraid. It doesn't count. Nope. Because only nerds like me are going to seek that stuff out. It doesn't help the general audience if you try and give these kind of explanations. And that's been an issue this whole era, where he's kind of given information about what's going on in the show, not in the show itself. And it's like, that would have been great and helpful if you actually included it in the episode somewhere. That's kind of the bigger issue with this whole era. I'm going to be honest, I'm just kind of checked out and done with the Pantheon stuff and everything that includes, because it ultimately has kind of gone the way I feared it would, in that it allows Russell just to go, why is this happening? Magic! Wiggly fingers. That's it. It's a get out of jail free card. Obviously, we have one more episode to go. I'm trying my best not to prejudge all of it before I've seen it. But based on how Wishworld felt very similar in its tone and setup to last year's finale, it's kind of hard to be like, oh, they're going to bring it home at the end, considering how last year went, where I find myself in a very similar situation, not to get ahead of ourselves, but where I'm like, you know what? I kind of like some of the ideas in this part 1, but I can kind of guarantee that none of it is going to come to any kind of satisfying conclusion next week. And I hate feeling like that. I hate putting that on the show out of the gate before having seen it. Like, but it's hard not to. It's hard not to with how it's going at the moment. But yeah, I hope that answers some of your lore questions, Randomer, but summed up, it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't really answer anything.
It doesn't. Exactly. You kind of have to wing it, because that's kind of what it feels like the show's doing at the moment. So
I need my comfy blankie.
Yeah, get that blankie.
Therapy blankie.
Get the therapy blankie out. Anyway, Wishworld, Series 15, Episode 7, Season 2, Episode 7, written by Russell the Davies, directed by Alex Pilia, I want to say is how you say the last name. Traps are sprung, and old enemies unite as the Doctor and Belinda finally arrive home to a very different world. Can the Doctor see the truth before midnight arrives? Dun dun dun. Tash. Wishworld. Unlike last year, I'm going to hold off giving this episode a score, just because I feel like there's no point scoring this episode, because it's part of a bigger picture and a bigger story, and everything hinges around what happens next week in order if any of this comes to a satisfying conclusion. But with that said, part 1, how are you feeling?
Well, I have my Squishable here, my Squishmallow, so that in case I get into much of a distress during this episode.
Yeah.
I can just look at it. Remember that cute thing still exists. And then the big RTD can't hurt me.
RTD can't hurt me, or my soul, or my love for my favorite thing. You can't do it, Russell. You can't take it from us. Yeah. As I said, my feelings on this episode is that there's some interesting ideas, but they're in the ideas that don't really amount to very much, especially by the end of the episode. They kind of get swept under the rug for the bigger plot that's taking place. The magic of it all, the MacGuffin of it all, of like Magic Baby, in this instance is just like, So it's all I can come up with. Like, I feel like the whole reason that Russell's introduced this magical element is like, it's like dropping the facade of how do we explain what's going on in the plot with some made-up science. Well, we're just gonna say it's magic now. But at least with the made-up science, it felt like, oh, these are plausible rules that are taking place within the universe, even though it's like some yapping about nonsense. It kind of felt like, oh, it lends some kind of groundedness to what's going on. It lends like there is rules to what's happening, but when you start waving your hands and say magic, there's no rules. Yep. Everything's out of the window. Even though it sounds like I'm being very negative out of the gate here, there is stuff in this episode that I liked. There is stuff here that I thought was interesting, but it is kind of a shame that most of the interesting stuff is kind of swept away in favor of fan wank. It's the only way I can describe it. So we kick off with the Rani in the past, riding around on a horse, going to meet a guy who looks like he's come from The Princess Bride. He literally looks like a character from The Princess Bride. That's all I can say. And whose wife has just given birth to the 7th child from a 7th child, lucky number 7 child. And it is eventually revealed in the episode that this is another god of the pantheon, Desi or something. I can't remember its name. It's like Desi. I'm just gonna say Desi. It's Desi, mate. And the Rani is going to use this baby as part of her big plot. How are we feeling about this opening? Were you expecting an opening in the past with Princess Bride character and babies? Like, was that on the list of things you were expecting to start this episode with?
No. Okay. No, it was not on what I was expecting. I think like I can see like this iteration of the Rani working. So I think she's performing very well.
Yeah.
Turning the kids into ducks, and that seems very like, I'm not gonna kill you, but like tongue in cheek. The kissing the baby's head to do so was weird.
Everything about this opening scene's weird.
And I just knew that it was gonna be an episode that I don't know is gonna resonate with me.
Like, yeah.
Because I just find babies weird.
Babies weird. Yeah, this whole just turning people into petals and ducks and an owl. I was like, I gotta be honest, I was like, what the fuck is going on? What is this? It could be a great menacing way to set up the Rani that she steals a child from the family, and there's a way to make that menacing and with evil intent, but it just devolves into whimsy for the sake of whimsy. And
McDonald's farm.
It's McDonald's farm, good old McDonald. And the husband does nothing, literally nothing to try and stop this from happening. His poor wife is in bed, just out of labor, can't move. The kids can't do anything because they're all young. And he's just like, I don't know what to do. I guess my kids are ducks now. Like, that's no, like, no.
Also, like, who did they think the Rani was? Like, why is the Rani? Like,
I think just a midwife. I think they thought she was a midwife. Like, there's a version of that opening scene I can see working, but that wasn't it. From there, we wake up with the Doctor and Belinda. Things are wrong instantly. They're in bed together. Shock, horror. Like, husband and wife, they have a daughter, Poppy. Poppy makes a grand return, everybody. Poppy's back, baby. It was what we all were screaming for. The return of Poppy.
Minus the creepy CGI lips this time on Poppy.
Yes. No creepy CGI lips. That is a bonus, I will say.
Yeah.
And then we also get Conrad on TV, sort of seemingly the only piece of media that anyone receives in this world is Conrad's TED Talks and story time. This is the bit of this episode that I liked. I liked this weird, twisted reality stuff, because it puts our characters in an interesting place where we're seeing them in a different frame that we don't normally get to see them in, and how they respond to that. And obviously, you know how it's going to go. Like, they're going to eventually break their programming, for
Yeah.
lack of a better word. But it's interesting to
Yeah.
see, like, how they're going to get to that point.
Mhm.
And I think all the most interesting ideas, like concept ideas, come from all of this. Like, this world that is been wished into existence, created by a guy who is effectively, this episode seemed to really hit home, still a child himself.
Yeah.
And like it's all built in his image of what is normal and good. And so
Mhm.
everyone is partnered together. It's very right wing. Let's be honest. It's all very. Women are there to be mothers and wives, and obviously we see like anyone who doesn't conform to normality in his mind is swept to the side, and everyone living in this world is blind to all of them because he has inflicted that upon them. Like, this is it's like genuinely interesting commentary from Russell about how like those people think and the impact of it. But as the episode goes on, none of that really matters, and the episode isn't really about any of that. It's just like, this is Conrad's world. I guess it shows who Conrad is.
I mean, didn't we already know who Conrad was, though?
True.
Like, I don't think we need to have it re-explained to us.
Yeah, not unless you're going to do something interesting with it, which I don't think
Yeah.
they are, because
Yeah.
based on the next time trailer, it looks like it just becomes like the big dinosaur guys are just there to be shot at like 8080s.
Not the fucking
Yeah,
dinosaurs.
the fucking dinosaurs. That is, yeah, that's a whole situation. But yeah, continuing through the episode, eventually we then get Ruby, who seems half conscious of this being a fake world versus she doesn't really understand why she thinks that. And she turns up on the front door asking if she knows the doctor or not. Like, you don't have a kid. How come there's a kid here? Just confused. And then we get our first sense of, if people start doubting things in this world, there's like a fascist regime in place to deal with the doubters, and
Mhm.
people will get arrested for that kind of thing, which is a little weird considering that it seems like a big element of the plot is that the Rani wants people to doubt this world, and yet
Mhm.
she's locking people up who doubt. And I get, maybe
Yeah.
that's a point. Maybe if you like, the Rani is smart enough to know that if this fascist regime exists, more people are going to question what is going on. But I
Mhm.
don't think the episode really makes that known, that that's what the Rani's like trying to do. Like the more people who go mysteriously vanishing and getting arrested just for having individual thought and stuff, like, people will keep questioning and questioning. They don't really push that in the episode too much. It just
Yeah.
seems like, no, we need to get all the people not believing out of the way. That's what
Mhm.
it that's what it feels
Yeah.
like in the episode. We also have Mel living next door to the doctor. That's basically all she has to do in the episode. Live next door. that is your
Yep.
role. That is your role.
No, no, don't forget, she can reflect and be jolly glad.
Yes, yes, she can have
So she'd spend her time in
quiet
reflection.
contemplation. Is what
Yes, and be
that's.
jolly glad
Oh
for it.
God, I I hope she has something to do next episode. I really do. I hope she gets to meet the Rani. Like, that's like a
Yeah,
reintroduction.
that would be yeah, yeah, that'd be pretty
Like,
good.
for context, like, me and Tash this week, we watched, I'm gonna get them mixed up, Time in the Rani, I think it was. Time in the Rani is the Sylvester McCoy episode. So yeah, it'd be great.
Bubble.
It'd be great. The bubble
The
episode.
bubble.
Next week, there better be bubbles. There better be tech traps.
Bring back the bubble yeah, bring back the bubbles and tech traps.
And there
Do
better
it,
be,
Russell, you won't.
yeah, right. And there better be Mel and the Rani dressing up as each other. That better happen next week. If you're just going to do all this fan wank stuff, why not? Why not just do all of it? Just if
Yeah.
you're going to fucking bring back Omega, just bring back tech traps, do all of it. Who cares if average Joe who doesn't know what's going on Doctor Who gets confused at this point, because clearly you don't. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we then also get to see the bigger picture of this world, where we get to see massive skeleton creatures roaming
Mhm.
roaming the earth. No idea what they are. The episode doesn't explain those at all. Like, why is Conrad seemingly wishing giant skeleton creatures into existence, or is that something the Rani's done. Like it doesn't even make clear that if they're like policing the world or something. You know what I mean? Like, I was kind of expecting that once it became apparent that this world was made up and people weren't allowed to have these doubts, that maybe, like, the skeletal creatures would zone in on people who have doubts and, like, either alert to them or maybe even eat them. Something threatening.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, they don't even have organs. How would they eat?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
They're just
their foot
bones.
turns invisible when it touches the ground, so
Yeah.
well, I guess I don't know.
I don't know, man. The first most unbelievable part of this was when Conrad said it's excellent weather in UK.
Everywhere, apparently. Excellent weather
I mean, for
everywhere.
sure, but, like, let's be so for real.
It's always good weather now.
Like, I think Conrad's actor is doing a great job
Hmm.
at playing Conrad yet again.
Yeah. No, yeah, he's doing
Um,
really good. I think he's got some depth in this episode, which he
mhm,
didn't really have last time. Like I said, like in this episode, it became very clear that he's still almost in like a child like mindset. Like the way he's
mhm.
attached to Mrs. Flood, like trying to
Yeah,
get her approval, and instantly
yeah.
it painted a more like, oh, I can kind of see who he is more so now. Yeah, like no, I agree. Good old Prince Eric there. I didn't realize. Did I mention this last time? But that he was Prince Eric in the Little Mermaid, like the most recent Little Mermaid, I believe.
Yeah. No. I don't even really watch the originals for,
No.
like, God forbid, the remakes or live actions.
Yeah, I think was it the one that everyone was complaining about? Everyone was moaning about that most recent because
Yeah,
of course they are.
probably.
Of course they're fucking moaning
Yeah,
about it. Like we are with
yeah.
Doctor Who.
Unlike I do hear there is valid complaints about the Lilo& and Stitch live action, but this
Oh,
is not the time for that.
okay,
But
fair enough.
that's the one that I feel like probably has pretty valid complaints. Yeah,
Uh,
I don't understand why the dinosaurs at all.
Potentially it's a wait till next week thing to see what the dinosaurs are about. Like I say, I'm not clear because it seems like the Bone Palace is a
Mhm.
construction of the Rani. That's something that the Rani's come up with, and
Yeah.
the creatures seem to be an extension of that.
Mm.
So that's why I'm leaning into them being something that she has put into this.
Are they
But
also just gonna fall through the fucking universe like everything else is? Like,
yeah,
I don't
yeah, I guess like
are they going down with everything else?
that's why I thought that they were going to be some kind of like guard dog, effectively, like a big guard dog, but they don't seem to do anything. They just sort of
No.
wander around for the sake of there being a weird aesthetic. And like I say, in the next time trailer, they're shooting them with rockets, so they're going to do something next time. What's going to spur them to do something, I have no idea, but yeah, we'll see, I guess. We shall see.
Yeah.
From there, we get to the new version of Unit, which has become an insurance company in this reality. Is it bad to say that I kind of prefer the set design for from the normal Unit set in this version?
My god, fucking unit, the Avenger Towers unit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like
After
again,
seeing Thunderbolts, I'm like, "Oh, man, it's just so is the fucking Avengers Tower."
it
I
really
can't,
is.
like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, I mean that is
Yeah.
the most interesting thing about that lucky day was like the question of Unit has this massive tower in public view,
Mhm.
and yet no one knows what they do. And
Mhm.
that's like that was kind of the pin of, oh, I can see what they might be able to do with this spin-off show with that one
Mhm.
bit of dialogue. Like that could be potentially interesting. Like I've
Yeah.
never really been a big fan of the big Avengers tower and
Mhm.
Unit becoming this. I mean, it felt weird that they were like meant to be this public facing thing. It felt like in the
Mhm.
60th anniversary, like it's out there now. We know that there's aliens, and Unit is there to help defend the Earth from this thing that everyone knows about. But now they're swinging the other way, where it's still a secret,
Mhm.
seemingly. So who knows? Who fucking knows? That's a bigger question, along with all the other questions that this era has given
Mhm.
us. It's just the world building.
Yeah.
The world building in this era is so scuffy and all over the place. And like you compare it to Russell's first run, where they were kind of meticulous by comparison to this in terms of building up
Mhm.
the world and what the people knew, what they didn't know, what felt like it could have been covered up from the public, what wasn't, and like they spent a lot of time in that first era to try and build that sense up that every time we
Yeah.
came back to modern day Earth, what the public thought of everything was, and then it went hell in a handbasket when the Daleks literally took the Earth, and everyone saw that. Like, there's no hiding from that. There were fucking like 7
Yeah.
planets in the sky.
Yeah.
But then obviously that kind of got reset because then Amy didn't recognize that. That's a whole other thing. But at least there was effort put in back then to sort of
Yeah.
explain certain aspects. Here, it just feels like it's all over the place.
I don't understand why the By Generation again, and after seeing everybody's response the first time, and
Hmm.
I for sure they were actually already in filming, but I feel like that was maybe a sign. I don't know. I don't know how far into filming they were at. I feel like things could have changed potentially.
The
I think.
anniversaries were filmed, and then I
Yeah.
think there were, I don't know, a couple months, and then the first season, and then I
Hmm.
believe that again there was like a couple months break, and then they filmed the second season. Because 73 Yards was the first episode that they filmed, I think.
Mm,
Because Shooty was tied up with sex education still. They only had Millie,
yeah.
so they started
Yeah.
filming with her, and they've not filmed anything other than the reshoots earlier this year that they apparently did. But yeah, other than that, they haven't filmed anything.
Yeah. I don't know why RTD is just like it just seems like he's half-assing
I don't think
all of the way.
I don't think he's half-arsing, but I think you brought up a good point last week, and kind of what echoing what Random was said in that message on Discord. It's this thing where he's trying to put his mark down, and rather than using the lore of the show in interesting ways to do that,
Mhm.
it's more so it feels like he's had an idea and he's trying to just crowbar whatever his idea is on top of the existing lore, even
Mhm.
if it doesn't work. Like, he's like, I will slap this on here and it will work and people will enjoy it. Like, it just feels like I'm just going to do it because I can.
Yeah.
That feels like what the attitude is. So yeah, we see the Doctor going to work at Unit Tower. He's in the insurance, and we get our first hint of really what this world is all about when the Doctor calls Ibrahim beautiful, and it's it's a really good scene. It's like it's genuinely tense,
Yeah.
and
The
it's
tone change too, I
yeah,
feel like was really on point.
and that's like the moment where I feel like, oh, this is what Russell's really good at. Russell expressing something within that scene, because
Mhm.
he lived for a time when being gay bad bad things, and
Yeah.
I could feel him expressing something about that sense of fear and doubt and stuff within that scene. I was like, oh, that's really strong stuff, just
Yeah.
this one scene. But like I say, ultimately the episode isn't really about any of that when it
Yeah.
come the
But
end.
also, like, I think the biggest thing is, like, that tension, it was simple
Mm,
in that moment,
mm-hmm,
but, like, simple and complex. But, like, it's just you don't have to do the most batshit insane things.
mm,
Like, you can just
yeah,
be
yeah.
simple about it, and it can get across more poignant than, like, confusing the ever loving shit out of the entire fandom. Like, it's yeah.
Yeah, like
Like, you can't
Russell's,
do it, and it is effective.
yeah, he's really strong at like domestic focused storytelling. It's why Midnight was so good. It's why Wild Blue Yonder is so good. Like, it's very focused, it's very sort of insular, and it's not
Mhm,
dealing with big explosive over the top stuff, which is where everything kind of falls down for him, and it all kind of always
mhm.
has done. Because boy, am I ready for the reset button to get pressed again next episode, because there's no way that it doesn't. There's no way that there isn't going to be a big old, well, everything is reset and put back to normal. But there may be a consequence in that the Doctor might regenerate, maybe, because of it. At least there'll be a consequence, I guess, but still.
Like, where's the I still don't understand, like I guess my whole part in all of this, and I feel like it starts coming into play for me a little bit later in the episode too, of, like, more consequences.
Hmm.
But, like, What the fuck is David Tennant's doctor doing?
He's in the back garden having quiche. I don't know.
Like,
uh,
we will. I just I'll have to bring this up again when we get to the end of the episode. But if the point was to create doubt, wouldn't you want to harness the doubt of not just one doctor but two doctors
you'd think.
seemingly being in there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird that the Rani doesn't even mention it.
No.
You feel like she would, especially considering she just bi-generated herself. Like, it would be of interest to her, you would think. But no, we can't afford David Tennant as well, so I guess we're not even gonna bring it up. The David Tennant 14th Doctor has been dangling over this whole era like a knife. Like, it's just like, is this ever going to fall? Is anything ever going to come of this? It's just there, dangling away. Oh god.
Yeah.
At least not yet. Next week, maybe. I doubt it though. The other thing about this, and I've seen a bit back on plot, everyone. Sorry, it's because
Yeah,
this episode is dealing with kind of the bigger themes of this whole era. Not even just this season, but the whole era. It's hard to not get distracted by all of that stuff, which is kind of the problem. In terms of this episode, in this Wish World place, they make a point about gay being out of normal, like, we don't want that. Disability, get that out of here, we don't want that. But seemingly...
Which I did really appreciate that's, like, part of it too, of, like, because Conrad doesn't perceive them,
Yes.
they're invisible.
Yeah.
And also one part, because we see, like, Ruby kind of following the Doctor in. Amazing to see, like, how Ruby acts as a companion when she's not the companion. Like,
Yeah.
Ruby, yeah.
No, yeah, I get what you
Ruby's
mean.
out here doing the work regardless.
But I did feel that it feels a bit strange that, like, race isn't touched upon at all. Because it feels like Conrad, based on his views...
Would be racist.
Yes. And it's not touched on at all. And I feel like... I feel like they obviously, we've got a black actor playing the Doctor right now, and Russell, the production staff, they didn't want to put him in like a, I don't know, out of fear of offending people or something. Like, they didn't want to put him into like some kind of downtrodden role within this world. But I kind of feel like if you're clever and you write it in a way that's effective, that can be something. You know what I mean? You can tell something, a story worth telling, and you can point how villainous your villains are with that.
Yeah.
But it feels like a weird omission from this whole thing that's not touched on at all.
I think especially because we've heard Shooty and Belinda, like, share stories.
Yeah. It's been a theme in the episode, all the episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I say, I feel like maybe it's just one too many things to try and deal with within the episode, so they didn't include it. Or, like I say,
but I feel like Conrad would then be racist against the Ronnie.
Yeah, that's the other side of it.
This opens up another, like, big can of worms.
Yeah, maybe. But from there, we do get to meet Belinda's mum for the first time. Yeah, a few people pointed out that because we know that the character Belinda and Virada Sefu's casting kind of came around very quickly. We don't know the specifics necessarily of why Millie Gibson had to kind of take a lesser role for this season. There's been all kinds of speculation as to why. Essentially, Ruby could not be in the full season, whatever that reasoning was. So Russell had to come up with a new character kind of quickly and cast it kind of quickly. And I've seen a few people sort of feel like this episode, it felt very apparent that Belinda was a new character who wasn't originally intended to be within this story. She's kind of filling the role that Ruby would have had, and that her auntie and mum in this scene would have been like Ruby's foster parent. And like, it is interesting because it does feel like Belinda doesn't have a lot to do again in this episode. Other than her own expressing of doubts, even though ultimately she's the one who calls the enforcers on the Doctor. So her own doubts, at least in this episode, don't seem to really go anywhere. She's still completely like inundated by the end of the episode, really.
Mhm.
It didn't bother me so much. I've seen a few people say that it bothered them quite a bit, that it felt like she's standing in for a story that wasn't going to go this way originally, so it's been rewritten to fit her character into the plot. But I do see where it feels a little bit like there's not a lot for her to do, and they've kind of split what Ruby's original story might have been for this episode into two.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it, like, especially I don't wanna dwell on Poppy too much 'cause
Hmm.
I just
We'll talk a bit about
but,
Poppy
like
later, but yeah, go on.
yeah, yeah, especially with the Poppy thing and, like, when we meet space babies, I will not rewatch the episode, so I will not know the quote exactly right, but there is a mention of Shooty and Ruby, like, when I think it was Shooty was like, "No, we're not your mom and dad, but
Yes,
I wish we were."
yes, yeah, yeah,
Playing
yeah.
into, like, now that this is wishes and stuff like that, and you could also like, that was Ruby, not Belinda there. So you
Do
can kind of yeah,
it would make more
yeah, you could
sense if it was Ruby
yeah,
in this role, because obviously Ruby has met Poppy. It would make more sense in the story in the engine that Ruby would see Poppy as this kind of ghost form.
mhm,
It's just an
yeah,
interesting little note, but obviously something happened and they had to rewrite and make it work. And as far as making it work, I think it seems like they've done as good a job as they possibly could have done on the short notice that they were probably working with. But it also
mhm.
stands to reason, hey, maybe we shouldn't have filmed both these seasons back to back. Maybe we maybe we should have had a bit more time between filming
Yeah,
to really sort this stuff out, but here we are.
like, I feel like Belinda acts as someone would, given, like, the
Hmm.
conversation she has with her mom and auntie, and, like, good
Yeah,
girls become good wives, who become good mothers, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's natural to be like, "Oh, okay, like, then my duty is to report because like, I've been told I need to be
Hmm.
good." With them being married, I guess, like, I just didn't like, I feel like there's been and not even just because we know that the doctor is gay,
Hmm.
this version of the doctor. Like, I just didn't see the chemistry there, even in this fictional world
Yeah.
of them, and I feel like I could have seen it for Ruby,
I mean, I was going to bring this up
maybe.
that I get what you mean, but I feel like that's the one thing that works in this episode's favor, is that instantly puts everything off kilter,
Yeah.
because that's so not what their relationship would ever be.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
with Ruby, there was that moment where it felt like Ruby was maybe slightly attracted to the 15th Doctor, but then upon realizing that that was never ever going to
Yeah.
happen, she kind of snaps out of it and it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that is what it is. So I think that's the one element with the Belinda and Doctor relationship we have at the moment that kind of works for how fake this whole world is meant to feel. From there, yeah, we get like I say, we get Belinda having a moment of doubt. The mugs break. Yeah, she can't remember Poppy's birth, is what leads
Yeah.
into some doubt that she has, which then leads into a scene where I laughed when I first saw it. How Belinda's house seemingly just opens up to open farmland. And she's just running across the fields, prancing around. She's in the middle of the city and she just runs outside and, oh, a farm, I guess. Oh, a wood. I'm in a wood now.
I would.
Well done for Verada Sefu for committing to the bit, but
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like a better kind of more way to handle that would have been just have her go to like the bathroom or something and make her feel really like isolated in that moment and claustrophobic, and have her have like her
Mhm.
breakdown there. Yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
I feel like seemed really, like I say, it was comical. It was comically over dramatic how she's just running through the field. It was just sprinting for as far as I can see.
I mean, I feel like there's, like, maybe she believes that if she has a doubt in the house, that it's gonna impact Poppy
Yes, I
in the
guess.
house,
Yes, that's yeah.
or then if she had a reaction in the house, then, like, more things would break, which would then lead her family members to tell on her,
Yeah,
but I
you're
also
right.
feel like you could've just, like, even if you wanna play off the concept of, like, being in a place where there's, like, not as much things to break, like, you could have just shoved her in a closet and had her scream into a pillow,
Mm,
you know? Like, something of that of, like, there's still that claustrophobic feeling where there's no immediate glass
Yeah.
by her.
You're right in
Yeah.
that it feels like that's the reason why they had to take her out of a populated space, is that
Mhm.
she has to express it somewhere where she can't be seen, heard, found. It just felt really like the way it was filmed and shot just felt really funny to me. Just her running across a field. field.
Very big fields.
But it's so weird
Right in downtown London.
that's the thing that Russell puts key. Oh, he can't have her do it in the house because things would break, and it like that's the detail I need to know. But all the other details, he's like, whoa,
Yeah, don't worry about
whatever,
it.
don't worry about it. We see the Rani scooting along, and I want her scooter. I want her sky scooter so much. I just like that is the way I want to travel around from now on. I want a little sky scooter that goes zoomy. I assume we're probably going to get more of that next week. There's going to be some sort of like why set up the sky scooter if we're not going to use it for some sort of chase? But yeah, from there we get into the control room of the Bone Palace after we've seen the sky scooter, and we have the seal of Rassilon on the wall for reasons. We have what I thought was meant to be like they were trying to make it look like liquid, like they have some sort of liquid connection from these terminals that these Borg-like creatures are tapping away at. But then later on in the episode, she grabs one of them, and it like just kind of destroyed the illusion of what I thought was meant to be like a weird, like liquidy kind of connection. But yeah,
they were a really cool design though.
yeah, it is a cool design. It looks really like the whole set, the Bone Palace set, the creatures is it is a very interesting set. I don't know what the relevance of all the bone is, but it looks cool.
Like, sure, it looks cool, but like how much money was spent on that, or we could have done it less and spent money on other things to make the episode better.
Tash being the producer of the show of it, do we have to spend the money on this?
I like it I don't know. It all just seems so out of place.
Yeah, there's no
And
real
like
explanation as to why everything is made out of bone. What was that thought process? What does that say about what's going on? Again, there's a part 2. We might get there. We'll see, I guess. But we also get like the reintroduction of the Ranis and their relationship. What's going on with both versions of the Rani? Where obviously,
poor Mrs. Flood is fucking chum.
she is the servant of the house.
Chum. Yeah, like I like how the just how do they think that we wouldn't look at that dynamic and be like, oh, like, I don't, man.
What's the point of it? That's my question. Like, what is the point? Why is there 2 of them? It feels like this could easily have just been one role. Like, my assumption is, my theory, my guess is that the fact that there are 2 of them, that is ultimately going to be the downfall of the Rani in some way within the story. Like, the Anita Dobson version is gonna like get too annoyed by the new version, and like that's gonna be the comeuppance because they're setting that up. They're setting up that like the Mrs. Flood version is getting more and more annoyed with the superiority version of the other one.
I just don't think the Doctor needs the help of another Ronnie to destroy.
No.
Or get rid of a Ronnie.
Yeah, like I say, I don't see the point in there being 2 of them. Especially when you're reintroducing this character for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the reason it took a while for us to get a 2 master story is because we had to establish the different versions of that character first. And for there to be an element of nostalgia for the older version. So it has an impact when the older version gets to come back and gets to play off the current version. Like, that's why that took so long to happen, and that's why that worked so well.
Yep.
So to instantly open a reintroduction to an old character and have 2 of them, so you can say, "Oh, I did a 2 Rani story." Well, what was the point? We're meeting them both for the first time. Like, there's nothing to be nostalgic about. And for new people, they haven't even met the character yet. So it's just a shame that we had Anita Dobson like pulling this heavy weight of who is this character, and then the moment the reveal happens, she then has to share it with someone else. she doesn't even get to
Yeah.
like bask in it. Like,
No, it's not even like it's not even fucking sharing it. It's
no,
like, here,
yeah,
you get
you get
you
the
get the
dregs.
worst version of this character. You get the domesticated part of this character.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, anyway, we'll talk about set design of
Yeah.
the Bone Palace and everything. Obviously, the most glaring aspect of it, bones, whatever they may end up being, the fact that we've got the
Mhm.
seal of Rassilon pasted on the wall, which is going to again, this is where the
Aw.
signs of where this might be going should have become obvious. The fact that we're pasting the the seal of Rassilon on the set with no real explanation. I mean, I guess for someone who has no idea what it is, it's just like, oh, it's part of the set, like whatever. I guess it's
Mhm.
just a logo. It doesn't really matter. I know all the fans are gonna like be like, Rassilon seal. What does Arani want with that? When we start getting into the fan wank of it all, throughout watching these last two episodes, I can't help but think about Utopia, Blast the Time Lords, Sound of Drums, and how expertly and how perfectly the reintroduction to the Master was done, both for old fans who knew the character and to
Mhm.
reintroduce that character for people who have no idea who it is.
Mhm.
Didn't rely on any flashbacks to the old stuff. It just put in
Mhm.
enough subtle references that people who know will pick up on it. And for new people, it's just like a good way of building tension. Like in Utopia, when Professor
Mhm.
Yana starts to get understand what the watch is,
Yeah.
they low key, just really low key, play some little voice lines from the other actors who played the Master. But
Mhm.
it's really like you have to have your ears kind of peeled to really notice that that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And the fact that they reintroduced the Master with the Doctor there, the tension starts rising, and if
Mhm.
you're a new fan, you're like, oh god, there's another Time Lord. What can this mean? What does this mean for everyone? If you're an old
Mhm.
fan, you're where the Doctor's at, where you know where the Doctor knows if there was one other Time Lord who would be resourceful enough to survive the Time War, he knows exactly who it is, and he knows exactly how
Mhm.
dangerous the situation is.
Mhm.
So it works for everyone. It was so perfectly done. And then I think of this episode, and it's just Doctor Who and the flashback. We're just going to paste images and flashback sequences. This episode had an abundance of flashback scenes. It's insanity. How many little, oh, remember this, remember this, remember this, even stuff from a couple of episodes ago. Do you remember this? Remember this?
Yeah.
But in particular with how the Rani's been reintroduced, is rather than subtly building up to it,
Mhm.
it's just been this mystery box where we've just all been left guessing with no real actual seeding of who this could be.
Yeah.
It's just, who are they? Blank space. And then
Mhm.
we're going to reveal who it is, but the person who it's most
Yeah.
important to have that reveal isn't there. So it doesn't mean anything to anyone, especially new people who are like, yeah, why should I care about this? Like, oh, sure, it's
Mhm.
another Time Lord, but why should I care?
Yeah.
And ultimately, the point
Yeah.
I'm getting to here is that I feel like the reveal of it being the Rani should have been in this episode. It should the actual reveal, like you could have like hinted in the previous episode, oh,
Yeah.
they're a Time Lord, and then in this episode, the
Yeah.
actual reveal should have been where the Doctor was present, and the weight of that moment could have been felt a lot more.
Yeah.
I feel like
I agree.
I'm doing a lot of for an episode where there are ideas and stuff that I actually quite liked. I'm doing a lot of bitching, and I realize that, but it's the it's the sense of the bigger picture that is getting me down. But from here, we get the scene where Mrs. Flood
Yeah.
and Conrad, and we get a better sense of like I say, like Conrad's characterization becomes a little bit more. We get a sense of him looking for a motherly figure, and
Mhm.
he's trying to put together the world in his image based on all the things that he missed out on or what he thinks is normal, etc. And then we
Mhm.
also get Desi baby Desi, because they're part of the Pantheon, has to do the giggle. Every single member of the Pantheon has to do the fucking giggle. Like, do they all have to do it? Why do they all have to do it? I know it's shorthand. It's just a shorthand way to communicate that's what they're part of.
We could tell something was up. You kiss the baby's forehead and turn people into fucking nature documentary. McDonald's farm over here. Like, we get it.
We
Creepy
understand.
CGI baby lip movement as well. Like, couldn't you just fucking record it, like, literally cackling? It would have been less weird.
Is this the grandchild of the toy maker? I don't fucking know. Like, I thought the Pantheon was going to be a bunch of separate godlike entities, but the giggle seems to be like very particular to the toy maker. Like, that's the toy maker's thing, and then Maestro had it because they were directly related.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get why Lux has the giggle thing. I don't get why Desi here has the giggle thing. I thought they're meant to be separate things, but like I say, it's just a shorthand way to be like, hey, remember the Pantheon's a thing, and this is one of them, even though
like,
you
how
have...
could we fucking forget?
Right. Like, the cat, and it's like, there's a lot of that in this episode. It feels very much like this episode, and I'm at this point where I don't know if it's the writing or if it's how it's edited is the issue. Maybe both, probably. The fact that it's constantly feeling the need to remind everyone who, what, where, when. Like, they're anticipating people just not paying attention. And it makes it feel like, do you have, like, zero faith in the people watching that you feel the need to constantly retell information in different ways? Like, all you had to do, and Rani basically did it, like you say, with the opening scene, turning people into ducks. That insinuates great power, if nothing else.
Yep.
It's stupid, but it insinuates great power.
Even if you needed to do the fucking giggle, like, I feel like you didn't even be looking at its mouth while I did the fucking giggle. It could have just been like, you didn't even have to pick up the fucking baby again.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it could have just been giggling in the crib.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You could have just had like
and we don't have to be fucking scarred by motherfucking
Tash doesn't want to see
CGI baby lips.
CGI baby lips. It gives
No one
me
wants to see it. It's weird.
PTSD.
It's weird. Also, like, I'm sorry, is this not child labor?
No, I feel like if you're gonna have to do the giggle, if you have to use that effect, that sound effect, it might have been a creepier shot to have had Mrs. Flood and Conrad talking about said Desi baby, and just have like a slow push from the ground up towards the crib, and then just have like the giggle happen there, just like some sort of like, yeah, that could have been more effective and more creepy, rather than having, like, say, CGI baby lips. I do wonder how Desi's gonna be involved in the next part. I'm kind of assuming that my theory is that Omega is like going to be some kind of ethereal form, and that the Rani is going to try and put Omega into Desi to try and rebirth Omega into a body of some description, and to use Desi to do so. That's my current guess.
Yeah.
I can see the gears trying to make sense of this on your face. Like, I
guess for me, why are we even reintroducing Omega?
Based on the Next Time trailer, it seems like the plan, it might not be this, but based on the Next Time trailer, the plan is that the Rani is going to try and rebuild Gallifrey using Omega. Why the Rani would be interested in doing that, I have no idea, because the Rani was
literally
kicked off of Gallifrey and seemed to have no interest in dealing with them at all since.
Or the rules.
So why she would be so invested in trying to bring them back?
It's just so soon to be doing the Gallifrey thing again.
Yeah, if you, like, you know what?
Seemingly, Russell Davies.
Showrunners, if you're so interested in Gallifrey, stop blowing it up. Stop destroying it. Like what? Like if you want to do stories with Gallifrey and Time Lords, stop destroying it constantly. Like, just have it be a thing that exists. Maybe that's what this is, a means to an end. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah,
I just feel like it's too, like, we just
did this.
Quite literally.
Yeah. I mean, it's so strange because obviously
Not
it's
same but different, obviously. But
yeah. I mean, it feels like, I know it was years ago. It doesn't feel like it, but it was years ago, technically, that Stephen Moffat played his hand in terms of trying to put Gallifrey back into the Doctor Who universe and have it be a thing. And then obviously he steps away, and then Chris Chibnall comes in and decides, nope, we're going to destroy it again, which was one of my issues with that whole storyline. Why are we doing it again? And now we've got Russell coming in trying to reestablish it, I guess. I don't know to what end, if it's even going to get reestablished. I don't know. Again, it's one of those things where we just have to wait till next week and see what plays out.
Part of me is just like, do you think having Gallifrey is gonna save, like, the show from
So
being canceled and taken on hiatus? Because it's not. It's just a really, I mean, I guess, where do you go from fucking Sutek? Honestly, like, destroying and obliterating Earth and then Earth being magically okay again, like, where do you go from that? Well, time to rebuild and destroy Gallifrey again. I just, like,
yeah, it does
all of
feel
it
like,
it seems to be, I would rather see the Doctor on the Gods Plains than quite literally
which feels like the where
this.
this season should have gone.
Yeah.
Like it feels like this should have been heading towards the Doctor going to wherever the Pantheon comes from. Like that feels like, based on what this era has been about, that's where it should have been heading. But it feels like we've taken just an incredibly sharp left turn to, oh, Gallifrey stuff again. Time Lord stuff again. We're heading back over here. What this has to do with the Pantheon, because apparently they're still linked into all of this in some way, other than Desi. We'll see. And we haven't even got to Susan yet. Fucking Jesus.
Part of me feels like we're not even gonna see Susan for reals. I really feel like we're not gonna get any answer to that. It's gonna be fucking Ruby's mom all over again.
Yeah, we have Mrs. Flood and Lorani talking, like we said, and we start to build up that kind of, are they on the same wavelength or not kind of question, as they both seem to be getting a little bit bitter towards each other. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. And then we get back to Ruby. So Ruby is still wrestling with what she knows and what she doesn't know, and she's with Shirley, and Shirley's like, hey, you actually recognize that I'm here, which people don't. They just ignore me, because everyone doesn't have perception of us, because Conrad doesn't have perception of us. And then from there we get to like the camp scene. I'm interested to get your take on some of this. We talked about it a little bit earlier. How did you feel about some of the dialogue within this scene? Because some of it was it made me feel a little bit awkward. Like, it gave me flashbacks to Donna when the bi-generation happened, when Donna said, you come in all colors. It kind of gave me flashbacks to that. When Shirley was saying, mind if I don't frisk you, but you don't seem to be disabled, especially like when like invisible disabilities are a thing. And then Ruby says, well, it could be taller, and we literally just had a smaller person on screen. Like, there seems to be an element of slight tone deafness going on with that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like, no, don't get me wrong. I feel like the whole scene itself is well intentioned, and is making a point about like extreme right wing views, what happens when they like take control, like all of that. Like, it's just like some weird dialogue choices in there that made me go, Russell, I feel like you're meaning well here. You're meaning well. I see what you're trying to do, but I don't think you're the guy to write this.
Yeah, it didn't feel
Is that
natural. I feel like there's ways of having that
yes,
entire conversation without bringing up the
yes,
disabilities at
yeah,
all,
exactly.
really,
That's
beyond the
exactly it.
point that they are disabled.
I
Yeah.
know you're trying to hit home the point that they live like this in this world is because they are disabled and they're being
Mhm.
ignored because of that. I get that it is well intended. I see the intention that is going here because it's like I say, it's trying to point out how wrong it is to ignore people because they are disabled or whatever it might be. But yeah, I just felt like some of the dialogue choices were kind of a bit awkward within that scene.
No, I agree.
But yes, from
To keep it
there,
concise after my rant last
yes.
week, but yeah.
From there, like you say, we get Ruby's foster mum being mean to her again and kicking her out after expressing doubt
A second
a
time.
second time,
Funny
another
enough,
time.
though, Ruby is, like, remembering that she's lived this life, but, like, seemingly is not recalling that this is the second time her mom
I wonder, the episode doesn't do anything with this, because it doesn't seem that the episode doesn't really explain at all why Ruby is having the amount of doubts that she's having.
Mhm.
Other than the 73 yards flashback, another flashback, Doctor Who and the flashback. I don't know. Again, part 2 is coming, so maybe there'll be an explanation as to why she is able to tap into what the world should be versus what it's become. But yeah, I don't feel like the episode itself, this part, did anything to sort of really establish why Ruby is so doubtful and is remembering things, other than
Mhm.
the 73 yards thing where she says, I've lived through this before and it wasn't like this. But also, the time when you lived through it last time, Ruby also didn't exist. So that doesn't really make any sense either, because that was a fake timeline as well. So
Yeah. 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 So many loopholes
that there are. And
in this episode alone
will they be
that
tied up neatly next time? No.
probably never.
No, they will not.
Probably never. We'll never get an answer, man.
Okay. Once they establish that they all don't trust Conrad, as you shouldn't,
Mhm.
we get to the Doctor having a brandy or a whiskey,
Mm.
troubled, and then we get a flash of Susan. We get the quick Susan flash.
Yep.
That's your Susan for the episode. And then
Yep.
Rogue makes a Zoom call. uh, so,
I'm gonna be so honest, part of me just, like, I still don't know if that was Rogue or if that was, like, a fake Rogue to make him have doubt.
yeah, yeah.
Like, there is no definitive way. I
Like
love how he's just like, "I'm in hell, and I'm not gonna survive thanks to you. Okay, anyways, tables don't do that. Okay, love you, bye."
Jonathan
It
Groff on a
is
green
bizarre.
screen made a made a quick call. Like Ronnie just put him in front of a green screen and was like, "Here, say this. All right, I need you to say."
Like, I mean, first of all, we didn't even get to see anything that would implicate love.
Yeah,
Fascination,
yeah,
yeah. Attraction, yeah,
yes,
but, like,
yeah.
like, have they just been secretly chatting on the side? I don't know, like, is
From the
it
hell dimension, he's been zooming in from the hell dimension. How is he zooming? He's in hell. How is he transmitting a message from hell to an alternate reality?
did he choose to go to hell? I'm just so confused, like,
Oh God! Like, yeah, the
but,
only
yeah, the "I love you" was the wild.
for this scene, for that rogue thing to make any sense to me, I was
Yeah,
thinking the exact same thing as you, is that it has to be the Rani doing some kind of projection, like the Rani
yeah,
using something against the Doctor to make him have more extreme
doubt.
doubts.
Yeah, 'cause there was a countdown,
Because that's the only
you
way it
know?
makes sense. It's the only way that makes
Yeah,
sense. I wasn't expecting it. I'll give you that much. It was a genuine surprise to see to see him pop up. But
yeah,
the only way it makes sense is it's some kind of manifestation thing that the Rani has done. Because A, if it was real, how?
mhm.
How is he doing it? How does he know another alternate reality is playing out on Earth? How does he know the tables aren't working properly?
Here's my, like, I think for all of so if the Ronnie's plan relies on his doubt,
Yes.
I just think there are so many different ways we could have done this. Than it be glasses breaking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get the idea that, like, I like, when you said one of the things you enjoyed about this episode was, like, it's placing the characters in this, like, unknown situation.
Mm-hmm.
If you needed him to doubt,
Yeah.
like, I just feel like you could have just done it in so many like, fucking have him bump into Donna multiple times throughout that day. Like, just, like, plot
Use Mel more effectively.
all of this
Yeah.
is just no, it's a Skype from hell.
I mean, like, the stuff going through the table makes sense because, like, everything's meant to be fake, I guess. Like,
Yeah, no, I get that.
nothing's real.
Yeah. I
So,
just feel like there could have been other
but in
ways than
terms
it
of
being the
how,
table being his focus.
yeah, like, it just, that just feels like a Russell T Davies-ism, like, make a weird thing out of something normal, which can work. It has worked in the past.
Mhm.
Having Mel be living right next door to him, use
Mhm.
that. That is someone who actively traveled with him for years. Like, use that as a
I
way
mean, for
to
fuck's sake, get
exploit
rid of
his
the
doubt.
fucking dinosaur CGI, that money, take that budget, fucking get David Tennant in there, have them working side by side at this fucking desk job of insurance agencies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just so many other things that I feel like would spark doubt,
Yeah,
except for Rogue and him hearing, "I love you."
yeah.
Like, I don't
Imagine
think
that.
they were even at love yet.
Imagine how, like, genuinely, like, surprising. I get why they don't want to do it because they don't want to have David Tennant overshadowing Shooty. I get it. I completely
Okay,
understand
but
that side
you
of it.
yeah,
But
but you're
they've
doing this dumb shit
they've set
with the
this up.
Ronnie.
But imagine, and you want to surprise your audience and be like, "Oh, you weren't expecting that." Imagine, like you say, he turns up at his desk for work, turns around, and there's the 14th Doctor, and you manage to
Mhm,
keep that under wraps. Like,
mhm.
that would have been like, oh, I see. Maybe there was a point to all of this.
And then he dies in the reality war, and then
Mm-hmm.
poof,
Yeah.
whittles away.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Completely
Open
get it.
loop, closed, shut, sealed.
Mm-hmm. Belinda reports the whole thing. She suspects her husband may be gay and
Mhm.
reports to the police, which again is a great piece of, like,
Yeah.
alternate reality sci-fi conceptualizing something
Mhm.
of a real fear. Um,
Yeah.
and that stuff's all very good, but and then yeah, they get taken away. We cut back to Ruby and Shirley and another character whose name I didn't catch, stealthing around.
Her telling them to fucking hurry up, and they're disabled. I was like, "Shut the fuck up."
And like the thing that got me about this scene is I'm actually going to look at it right now. Right now. So they have the iPad from the old world. So they establish
Yeah.
that there's relics from the old world
Mhm,
that they still have. Um,
mhm.
this
Your
iPad,
power's up.
her unit
Has power.
iPad is there, and they're like, we can tune in and try and get an idea of what's going on up in the Bone Palace. What
Mhm,
was really weird to me? Okay, I'm looking at the shot right here. It's the three of them. They have the
mhm,
iPad. They're showing it to Ruby. Look, I have this. What got me
mhm.
was the mystery of where the fuck did the tripod come from? Where did that tripod come from? I'm looking at it right now. No sight of any tripod. It's not there. Next shot, they have it on a tripod, and they're trying to be stealthy. Like, why not just have it in your hand and act incognito? No, we've got to set it up on a tripod. Have a good look.
Mhm. But also, I
Oh
feel like
god.
wouldn't you discuss with Ruby beforehand that you had the relic? Like, I
Mm.
just feel like this could have been summed up prior and being
Mm-hmm.
like, "Okay, let's, like, kind of figure out another like, how do we best utilize this?" Before then just arriving on scene and then being like, "We have a relic from the old days, and it has power."
It does feel like that would be information you would give before going on the mission to try
Yeah,
and
and,
spy
like
on them.
but also, it seems like there's a lot of fucking files on the iPad.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't you just open up one of the files?
Mm-hmm. Not that it comes to
Anyways,
anything, because eventually a building falls on top of them, so their big spy
yeah,
mission doesn't really result
yeah,
in very much, other than setting up
nope,
that Ruby needs to get back to Conrad. Like, if she can get back to Conrad, maybe that will solve something and it will snap things back. So I feel like that is establishing where the Conrad storyline might be heading, is Ruby and Conrad coming back together, and that will bring back Ruby's memories properly, and whatever
It's
that
gonna
does
be
to
a
Conrad.
magic.
Yeah.
Ruby has such good luck with big magic buttons.
Make magic buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be a
Yeah.
very hand-wavy explanation, but I assume that's where that is going. Yeah, and then from there, finally, we get the Doctor, not as the Doctor, as John Smith, meeting the
Mm-hmm.
Rani. And
Yep.
God bless Archie Punjabi having to deliver this
Monologue.
monologue, this mother of a monologue. Like, good lord, just the most lore dumpy of lore dumps, to the point that even in the script they have to acknowledge how much exposition is being delivered. And it's this kind of, just because you acknowledge exposition doesn't let you get away with it, Russell. Okay, it doesn't let you get away with the fact that we've just spent 10 minutes explaining everything that's happened and is going to happen up to
Like,
this point.
if they're like, if the process here was to make him remember, so he realizes that everything is a lie,
Yep.
and that is what fully charges it up. I mean, can't we just have the motherfucking baby wish that he can remember all his memories?
That is a good
Easy
point.
peasy.
The baby
No
just
dramatic countdown.
the baby just put a spanner in a lot of this. The magic baby that grants any wish that you want. Just don't think about that. Don't you have if you start thinking about that, this remarkably watertight
No,
plot
I've
will
thought
fall
about it.
apart.
The mention you made a mistake in also mentioning the TARDIS, and I know for a damn fact there are 2 motherfucking TARDISes out there, so where's the other TARDIS that's still out there?
It's one in Donna's back garden.
Like, if you don't wanna acknowledge that it's fucking like, you don't wanna acknowledge that it's David Tennant, right? Like, you don't wanna bring David Tennant back in. Can't tell me that that fucking TARDIS isn't out there making noises. You don't even need to have, like, David Tennant involved, just but other TARDIS can come flying in. Easy
Maybe it
peasy.
will.
I refuse to believe you made it that there are 2 doctors, and you want us to forget about one of them. Fine. But you also was it just 2 doctors? You gave the other doctor a TARDIS as well. Like, you were very
Specific
specific
about
that
that.
there is gonna be 2 fucking TARDISes.
Yep. And who knows? Maybe next week something will happen. I doubt it, but maybe. Like, I feel like I have to keep prefacing that because it's very easy to be very cynical about where this might be going. And I guess we're just reserving the right, if it does go the way we think it's going, to say we told you so. It's basically what we're doing here. But as always, I hope to be eating my words. I genuinely do. I want them to prove my cynicism wrong. But we also then, actually, we need to mention this, as
Oh, yeah.
like, this is where we go full fan wank, this whole segment. Canonizing dimensions in time. And 5 people in the audience went wild. Like, like fucking Jesus Christ, Russell. Where this whole plot was just so he could canonize a 1993 Red Nose Day charity special. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yep. Yep.
Oh my word. That was something. That was something. I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciated getting to see Kei Omara on screen. I don't know if you necessarily need it. I don't like I said, when we reintroduced the Master, it was done in a nice subtle way where we got like little whispers of the old actors, but you didn't have them flash up on screen. Like, that's who they were.
Well, also, like, seemingly not giving us any context to who they were, though. Like,
Yeah.
you can show us a picture of their old face.
No, all right, because like in terms of the Rani's plot here, like what her goal is, seemingly, it doesn't really feel like a Rani like plot. Like, we mentioned this a little bit last week, but for those who aren't aware, like, the Rani's whole thing is that she is just a scientist who is cold, likes just doing experiments, really
Mhm.
kind of for the sake of it sometimes, just to. And there was a nice line in here where she says, "Your enemies always wanted to kill, but all I wanted to do was to bring life," which is true.
Mhm.
That's the most Rani like
Yeah.
line in this whole thing, where her
Yep.
experiments all like kind of biological and like
Mhm.
messing around with things and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
but in terms of this big plot to find Omega, I guess you can argue like maybe she wants to, like I say, bring back the Time Lords in her own way. I guess
Mhm.
is her plot. I don't know why she would care so much about the Time Lords. I guess,
Yeah,
and
she really like went against all that they were
mhm. And she's not someone who seeks control or
companionship.
power necessarily.
Yeah.
Like she's not like that. That's very like a master thing. Like the master wants to be in charge of stuff, and hence the name. To to be like overlord of stuff and torture
Mhm.
and demean and watch people wiggle. Whereas that's not really the Rani's MO. It's more like
Mhm.
I've got this science experiment I want to do, and I don't care who gets hurt in the process of me doing so. So, like again, wait till next week, I guess, to see where it goes.
Mhm.
Got to keep reminding myself there is a second part to this whole thing. But yeah, she rants on. She goes on her big monologue, reminding the Doctor that she's the Rani. Again, another little character beat that I didn't know how I felt about, because it tried to seem to establish that the Rani and the Doctor were friends at some point, or maybe even lovers at some point. And
Mhm.
that, again, doesn't really feel like what their relationship ever was previously. Like with the Master,
Yeah.
it was established in the old show that they were friends. Like,
Yeah.
that wasn't a new series thing. That was always kind of present throughout their relationship in the old show and the new.
Mhm.
Whereas with the Rani, the Rani's opinion of the Doctor and that is just that, oh, he's just a fucking nuisance, and I don't really want to deal with him. Like I
Yeah.
don't. Like in the story we
Yeah.
watched, the Sylvester McCoy one, she's very begrudgingly having to use the Doctor. She doesn't want to. She doesn't fucking want
Mhm.
him there. Really, it's just that she knows he's the
She
only person
needs
smart enough to deal with this
yeah.
problem. Um.
Yeah.
So yeah, that feels a bit like Russell trying a little too hard to make this relationship like it's like an endeavor to try and what he sees to make it more three-dimensional, but I would argue it doesn't need it. What makes their relationship more interesting is that she is just annoyed by him. Like
Mhm.
you're just this fucking nuisance who I'd rather not deal with.
Yeah.
That's a personal thing, I guess. I guess some people
Mind
might
you,
like it,
like,
but
if from what I've understood too, she didn't even really wanna deal with the master either.
mm-hmm.
Like
This fucking like yeah in
yeah, yeah.
Mark of the Rani, with the Masters in that story, she's very much like, I was just doing my thing here, and then you two come along and
Mhm.
start your infernal squabbling, and why are you
Mhm.
putting me in the middle of this? I'm just trying to do
Yeah.
my own thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, take it or leave it, I guess. With that, for me, it just feels like I say, trying to force a sort of relationship dynamic that never really existed previously, and whatever, take what you want. If people like it, that's fine. I'm not gonna put a pin in that too
Yeah.
much. um
Yeah.
but yeah, upon all this monologuing, like I say, breaking the Doctor's mind, the comrade gets his little jab in, saying, last time we met, you you said I was nothing, and what do you think of me now? Again, comrade just trying to prove that I'm not nothing. I'm not like a stupid little kid anymore. I'm all powerful now, even though literally nothing that's happening is a result of Conrad. It's a baby
Mhm.
and the Rani. Like, he is being a
Yeah.
puppet. He's being played like a fool, and again, that
Yep.
makes him like a more interesting character because of that, opposed to last time where he's like I get a better sense of where Conrad falls in this episode, and that is a plus to this episode. Like, Conrad is a stooge in all of this, and he doesn't even realize
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Again, it kind of reminds me of Andor with fucking Cyril. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you're just
Oh,
being played by everyone around you, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah, and then you took it on the wrong person.
And then we get the explanation of the Vindicator, which was just mind-bogglingly convoluted. Like, the Vindicator was like through the travels, it was generating power to focus baby Desi's power. Like she was using it as like a focusing device and to make it stronger, to make this wish world a reality.
Yeah.
Because the doctor said if they had they tried to do this just with baby Desi, it would have gone wrong immediately, and
Mm.
she needed this extra boost of power to make it a reality. That's what I got from it. I don't know if that was the intention, but that's what I understood from the explanation, that it generated the power of like 1 billion supernovas or whatever, and the Rani was harnessing that to control
Mhm.
the whole wish world. And I'm
Mhm.
assuming is going to be used for this whole Omega plotline as well to, like I say, get him a new body, it seems like. And then we get to the world sinking into big puddles. Big pink puddles. I don't know. I don't know how next week could possibly open. Is it going to open with the Doctor and Omega meeting? Is it going to open in the Bone Palace with Varani finding Omega? I'm just trying to think
Also,
of how, like,
yeah.
all our characters who are stuck on Earth, Ruby, Shirley, Mel, Unit, like, where are they all going? And
Mhm.
how is it seemingly still London intact from the Next Time trailer?
I think, yeah, the next time trailer makes me, like, lose more faith in this, if I'm gonna be honest. A, because we saw Belinda disappear.
Yes,
Push through the
yes.
perception field, she disappears. Seemingly, we see her in the trailer, she's there. Still thinks she is Poppy's mom.
Yep. Which was the most egregious flashback, by the way. The fact, obviously, I get you're doing little flashbacks to remind things that have happened earlier in the season. I don't need it, but I guess
Mhm.
you think some people might need that little reminder. But the fact that you have a flashback scene of a character we literally just saw in a scene not 2 minutes ago, you you don't need a flashback for when Belinda says, "I'm a mother.
Yeah,
My daughter's still at
yeah.
home." Yeah, we know.
We know who you're talking about.
We know who
Yeah.
you're talking about. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like I say, it just feels like there's like zero faith in the audience paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, I just think it was not handled particularly well. I kind of liked the twist being that the doubt was the whole point.
Yeah.
I feel like if the episode had built it up like, oh, this is how we're gonna fight back. Like, we're gonna fight
Mhm.
back with this doubt. That's how we're gonna take this whole thing down. Only
Mhm.
for that for then to be revealed that is what they were counting on the whole
Yeah.
time. Like, that could have been a really good twist in the story that would then open it up to part two, because it like changes the dynamic of where the story could go. But I don't think this episode really landed that twist, in that the doubt was
Yeah.
they were what they were looking for.
Yeah, especially with, like, freaking you have them counting doubt right away.
Yes.
You see
Yes.
Ronnie fly into the building. She's freaking high doubt numbers, blah, 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 blah. On what scale?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we say it's a 9, but, like, what's the scale? Like, don't give us that tidbit, maybe, and then save the twist at the end. I
No,
don't
yeah,
know.
it,
It's
it
hard.
feels it feels
Yeah.
like it played its hand too early in regards to the doubt being the thing that they wanted. Like, that should have come later. Um, and it would have
Yeah.
been like a genuine like, oh god, I thought this is how we were going to win. I thought this was how we were
Mhm.
going to beat the situation, but turns out nope. Like, that would have been a genuinely, like, if that would had built in a more, I don't know, natural, more satisfying way, that could have been a good twist.
Yeah, and you could have had a shot of the doctor being like, "Wait, I remember," and then the Ronnie being like, "That's what I was banking on."
Yeah,
Bam.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Next week on Doctor Who.
it could have felt like a
Like,
real,
you
like,
wanted them.
it's going to be a victory moment. He remembers the doubt is going to shatter this illusion.
Yeah.
But then, like you say, the Rani goes, "Nope, you've played right into my hand," and that's a good cliffhanger. It's like the villain
Mhm.
actually getting one over on the Doctor in that way. That works as a good
Yeah.
cliffhanger. Why the Rani is doing all this is that she wants to crack the universe itself, and she needs the
Mhm.
Doctor's doubt, a Time Lord's doubt, amongst all of this wish to do so. and she wants to do that to get to the Underverse, which feels like a very Dungeons and Dragons like situation, because that is where she believes and seemingly truthfully will find Omega. And here enters the part of the podcast where I have to explain who Omega is, because I know for a fact there are people who listen to this podcast who don't know who the Rani is, firstly, and if you don't know who the Rani is, then you probably don't know who Omega is either, other than, the episode does say the first Time Lord and evil.
Which is a lie.
Well, it is a lie now.
Not the first Time Lord.
It's a lie now. It's been retconned to be a lie.
No, I get it, but like, just maybe don't mention it. Just maybe be like, "A powerful Time Lord, you're the one that said the first Time Lord," when you know it's a lie.
I mean,
now, RT Davies.
Well, let's get into that just a little bit, just so people are all kind of caught up. So, Omega is a character from the old show, as you may have imagined from this point. The law
Davies only comes up with original characters.
The law of from Omega is that he is the Time Lord who gave time travel. How basically everything Time Lord science wise, he is the grandfather of, essentially. And effectively, in the old show, gave the Time Lords their power. And that's why he's in here referred to as the first Time Lord, because he is the one who, I mean, it's not specifically stated he's the one who gave them the power to regenerate, but it's kind of insinuated that that was the case. And when he did this on his experiment, on his last experiment that gave them the gift of time travel, he died, disappeared in the process. He actually ended up traveling to an alternate universe made entirely of antimatter, which is then in The Three Doctors, is a story where he is trying to reach out of the antimatter universe to escape, and the Time Lords employ the Doctor and his other selves to go and stop that from taking place, because if antimatter and matter collide, big explosion. That's how that works, apparently. I don't know if that's the actual science behind it, but in Doctor Who science, that's what would happen. And so that's how he's introduced initially. The last time we saw Omega in TV is in a Fifth Doctor story called The Arc of Infinity, where he takes the Doctor's biodata to create a new body for himself from the Doctor, and he literally turns into Peter Davison. So I just say fuck it at this point. Have Peter Davison come back and play Omega. just for the sake. Why not? Why not fucking do it? Covered in Rice Krispies and green goo. Because the last time we see Omega, it's in Amsterdam of all places, with the Doctor chasing him down because there's instability in his physical form holding, and he's reverting back to an antimatter form. And the Doctor's like, you have to stop this or you're going to destroy everything. And Omega refuses, and the Doctor shoots him point blank and kills him, and seemingly dissolves. He dissolves into nothingness, and we get a shot of the president of Gallifrey going, not really sure what happened to him, but I hope he's found peace wherever he's gone. Because basically he's driven by vengefulness, because he thinks the Time Lords kind of gave up on him, abandoned him, left him to wither and die in this other universe, and just became vengeful after being stuck there for God knows how long. So that's who Omega is. As far as the TV show goes, there's been comics and audiobooks and stuff that have expanded on him. But as far as TV goes, that's who Omega is. It's a lot to try and reintroduce another character on top of the Rani, 2 Ranis, and Susan into the mix of all of this. Because, don't get me wrong, absolutely a way to reintroduce the Rani into the new show. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner, honestly. Absolutely a way to bring Omega back into the new show. Could be done. Absolutely a way to bring Susan to bring back into the new show. To do all 3 at the same time is insane. It's absolute insanity. Like, to think you could do that and do it in a satisfying way, and oh my god, it's wild.
I'm telling you, Russell likes big flashy things to take away from shit writing.
It's mad. Oh god, like, like I've wanted the Rani to come back for ages because I felt like, come on, that's like a natural progression of in terms of
Mhm.
bringing back classic villains. Like we
Yeah.
had the Daleks, we had the Cybermen, we had the Master, we had Sontarans, we had the Ice Warriors. Like
We
there,
had, like, 3 versions of the Master.
we've had 3 versions of the
And
Master,
new.
and it felt like that was overdue. Um, and again, I also was like, oh, you could bring back Omega in an interesting way, especially with the context of the Time War and stuff, like what that could mean. There's ways to do this.
Yeah.
But doing it in the same fashion as they did with Sutek, literally having the same glitchy text come up on screen that they did with Sutek, but with Omega this time. Oh my god.
Mhm. You know what's really funny?
Mm.
I mean, I just, like, think a lot to, like, The Flux. I don't know. I know everybody hated it. I just feel like they were like, I don't think I thought, like, collectively, yes, there were questions,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think I left every single episode being like, "It's just a million fucking loopholes in here." Like, sure, it was a controversial fucking take.
Mm-hmm.
One big loophole left, but the rest of it kinda made sense.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not per lore, but, like, the story was told and a story was wrapped up.
More or less. They had some issues with
Yeah,
shooting with COVID and stuff, which hindered Flux
yeah,
quite a bit. But
yeah, but I don't think I left asking a gajillion fucking questions every goddamn second.
yeah, so basically the way the episode wraps up is Rani's grand plan has come to fruition. She's cracked the universe. Omega is down there somewhere, and she's going to try and bring him back. She doesn't trust the Doctor to not try and stop her, so once his usefulness, which is very Rani, I'll give her this. It is a very Rani
Mhm.
moment to be like, well, I've used you for what I need you, so I'm getting rid of you now. Bye. No
Yeah,
sentimentality there. Just I'm throwing you out the window, literally.
I
Um,
just think the irony of it is, like, couldn't I feel like wouldn't his body be more useful to her?
I mean, maybe. I mean, they did make a point to say, like, "Hey,
Where was she during the
where's your
flux?
TARDIS? Where's your TARDIS at?" I mean, that's a whole
Yeah.
other thing. Like, how did the Rani survive the Time War? That's not touched on at all. Like, how is she even here in the first place? That's like, at least again with the Master, they established, oh, the Master made himself human and ran away. That's how he survived
Mhm.
the whole thing. Um,
Yeah.
Tash has gone into full "I need to hide" mode. Looking like a Benny Gesserit
Hello, R.T.
from
Davis,
fucking
it
Dune
was
now.
me.
Have you got a little box for Russell to put his hand in? The little pain
Oh.
box.
Mm, God, I do love how Poppy mentioned a cat, and I was like, "Sorry, he killed it. He killed the cat you could have had."
Oh god.
Never letting that go.
Yeah, Wish World. Again, we're not going to rank it this week just because it's obviously part of a bigger story that's being told. I will just say thumbs up, down, or middle for this, as a part 1 leading into a part 2 that is going to be over an hour long. It's worth mentioning. Tash is shaking her head. She's shaking her head.
Mhm. Mm. I just oh, man, like, here's the thing, it's kind of hard because what if it's all night at the end next week, we're recording this and we're like, "Wow, they pulled it off, that makes sense."
Mm-hmm.
But, like, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice or shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Motherfucker doesn't tie anything up ever,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just toying around with pantheons left, right, and center. And, like, seemingly making them an every goddamn day appearance. Like, fuck, man. My next door neighbor's child could be a god at the rate of RT Davies. Like, I don't Ugh.
No, I
But
find
it
myself in
feels
a similar
harsh
boat.
giving it a thumbs down because it's just like,
Yeah,
there
because you
are
don't know
some
where it's going
cool
to go.
things at play here. Like, I want it to work.
Mm-hmm.
I want it, like, I want if this is gonna be Shooty's last season, I want it to leave on a high note.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so tough to see compared to how good some of the other episodes this season were,
Yeah, and
of just
I was
how
gonna bring
not
this
good
up.
this is as a intro to, like, a two-part finale, as a two-part finale,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, you hit on a good point in that the
Oh.
strongest episodes of this season have been so unconnected from
Mm-hmm.
the bigger picture stuff. Like,
Yeah.
even though, I mean, Lux, obviously that's Pantheon related, but it felt
Mm-hmm.
individual enough to be its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously, the Well is still my standout from the season, but arguably because the Well was the most sci-fi of the
Mm-hmm.
season, which is probably why it appealed to me the most out of all of them. And that's why I've come to this conclusion of I'm done with the Pantheon magic stuff. Because when it's that obvious to me, when you've got a season of the show where the obvious standout, at least from my opinion and my perception, is the one that was the most sci-fi one of the bunch.
Yeah.
Clearly that's the part where I'm not getting in tune with, is the supernatural god stuff. That's clearly where that's not what's working for me.
I think it's just the Ronnie's motives. Like the Ronnie's a scientist,
Mm-hmm.
comes out of the hiding because has discovered like the power of God pantheon beings exists now.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like should be doing testing on that baby.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
She wouldn't care about literally. She would be testing that baby
Yeah. No, no,
to
no,
do
you're right.
things for herself and solely herself. Like, and I could see that making sense. I could see like
Yeah, it feels like the
there being this
experiment,
crucial, yeah.
the experiment from the Rani should be on the Pantheon and why the universe is allowing these supernatural-esque things to happen.
Hmm. Yeah,
Is
yeah,
like her motivation being, I want to go and find Omega, is so weird and like, why?
and like rebuilding Gallifrey.
Seemingly,
Well,
yeah.
like we quite literally just saw this. I know it's been years, all right, but like season wise, like we the Spy Master really isn't that far behind. I
Yeah, like that whole thing was, I'm going to rebuild the Time Lords in my design using Cybermen.
Cybermen Time Lords though, Jesus fucking Christ, that
And
like
now we've
that's a
got,
terrifying concept.
and now we have the Rani being like, I'm going to rebuild Gallifrey with Omega in my design.
Yeah, but like for what purpose? Like she's not lonely. She's never been lonely. If
It's
anything,
not.
she wants to get rid of Mrs. Flood,
Mm-hmm.
but she can't.
Like I said, there is stuff in this episode that I did like conceptually, um,
Hmm.
like the alternate reality stuff and how they react to it and respond to it. Using that as a way to, do some interesting social commentary on
Yeah.
certain views and stuff. Like all of that stuff is good and strong and good science fiction, honestly, because that's what good science fiction has always done. It's just all of the one, like you say, it's incredibly difficult not to remember what happened last season and be like, and I will also say I think last season's, like, The Legend of Ruby Sunday was a better part one, even though part
Hmm.
two was turned out to be dog doo doo, but it was a better part one. Just because
Yeah.
it was just like everything lined up better, and the reveal of Sutek was handled pretty well,
Yeah.
even though it wasn't an anagram and everyone laughed at that, but still.
Yeah.
This just feels like we're just gonna throw everything in: the kitchen sink, the cutlery, the pan, the toilet.
Hmm.
We're just gonna we're gonna throw
Threw it all in.
all of the things in, and now we've got
Yeah.
just over 60 minutes to just in
Wrap
case
it all up.
you want to keep score, everyone, just to keep score of what we're going to be wrapping up, seemingly, maybe,
Yeah.
next week is Omega, two Ranis,
Yeah.
Conrad, Susan, Belinda, the destiny of Belinda and the Doctor coming together, Ruby, how Earth, unit, and all of that is going to be restored, probably with a big reset button. What this means for Gallifrey now, is that coming back? Is it not coming back? Are the Time Lords coming back? Are they not coming back? Potentially a regeneration. like, like it's so much. It's
Yeah.
so much, and it's hard not to be just like, I want to obviously just lay back and have fun with it. It'll be great, but it's just like, it's not, if not most of it. is not going to be satisfying in how it resolves. And like you say, everyone, us, I mean, I think it's fair to say both of us going to Ruby's story was concluded with a mysterious woman pointing at a sign on a street, and everyone was like, huh? It's really difficult not to be in that mindset when you're dealing not only with current era stuff that you've been building up, but also old school lore stuff that you're introducing. Yeah, it's just all kinds of higgledy-piggledy plate spinning.
I don't think I can give it a middle thumbs, and I also don't think I can give it a fully down thumbs. So like
somewhere in between.
Half up, half down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that middle gap. I think I'm kind of in the same area. I will reiterate that I want next week to have me eating my words, do something interesting with the two Ranis, like have that be there for a reason. Have Omega be handled effectively and have a point to it, to why you think it is necessary to also bring this character into the mix. There are links that you, obviously Susan being a Time Lord and Omega coming back and what that might all mean, maybe. And yeah, then I don't know, I guess we're going to be wrapping up Ruby and Belinda's story potentially as well.
You know what I'm more upset about? All I care about is a comment from Belinda's mom about the doctor's ass. Like, this was a perfect episode to make that cheeky little comment. Like, if you're gonna do a million fucking callbacks, get some cheek appreciation be in it.
Some cheek appreciation, Jesus, why not? You're gonna do everything else.
Yeah.
Why the heck not? Didn't they do that in one of the other episodes? Like, oh, the doctor was like,
"Your mom will tell me my ass is great."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. When I meet your mom, she's gonna tell me. I guess, like, they didn't actually meet, but, like...
Not yet. Not yet. It's so weird to be in a position where I'm like, A, I want to be excited for stuff, and then B, I'm also like, oh God, like, thank God the season's nearly over. So I don't have to think about it anymore.
Then we can move on to other episodes about other fun stuff. Like Justice for Jody. After this, especially. Coming in hot with a Justice for Jody after this.
Oh God, it's a time. It is certainly a time, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Sorry for my state of despair. My allergies are kicking. My eyes are itching. I'm in physical pain. I'm in emotional pain, and I just have had to like stare into the distance to avoid from fucking crying.
Not all related to Doctor Who. It's
not all related to Doctor Who.
Not all. There's real life stuff, folks. That's what's going on in the world.
I don't exist in the context of this podcast.
That's it. I forgot. we go into our stasis tubes. Well,
yes,
while not doing this. It's everything is revolved around this show, as Russell did demonstrate in Lux that Doctor Who fans only exist to be Doctor Who fans. That's all we do. I guess this might be a discussion to have once the season is closed. So maybe we'll wait. But I do want to talk a little bit at some point about what the show needs and how it needs some restructuring in terms of how it's presented. And that's being said where I feel like the majority of this season was pretty good. And that's really the sad thing, is that, man, this season's been really strong for the vast majority of it. It's just going to be a real shame if it doesn't stick its landing. And like I said, personal preference, I get it, but fucking get out of this Pantheon magic nonsense. get back to being, a not heavy sci-fi show, but a science fiction show at its core that occasionally will kind of dart off in some different directions and have fun with it.
I agree.
It's just the grand scale stuff that Russell trips up on when he's focused in on, like I say, these little, like, more insular, like, concentrated stories. He can bring it. But the moment he starts dabbling in bigger lore things and grandiose epics, everything starts to just like, oh my lord, let's have some control, sir. Some control, please.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But yeah, that's Wishworld, everyone. But yeah, if you want to get in contact with us and give your thoughts on anything that Doctor Who's doing, past, present, future, if you want to let us know about this season, how you felt about it, you can find us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Adventures in Who. There are links below. Yeah, let us know how you think and feel. We'd love to see what the fandom at large is kind of thinking and feeling. I feel like I need to stress this because of how cynical and downbeat we've been about this finale thus far, even though I actually kind of liked parts of this episode, is that the season has been actually quite good. Like, quite a bit of it has been very good. Certainly an improvement from last year.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say. But yeah, there we go. Wishworld.
Sure.
We'll see you for the Reality War, where I'm going to be seeing it in cinemas. So I'll at least get a sense of the room and how people are feeling about it.
Yeah.
And I have to watch this one as well. I'll be watching this episode as well in the cinema because they'll be showing both. And yeah, we'll get back to you. We'll come on back and we'll wrap up with the Reality War, give you our thoughts on that, and probably a little bit of a wrap up of this season as a whole. And of course, if any interesting news stories drop in the next week or so. And then from there, we'll talk about what we'll be doing for the foreseeable future for the podcast when the show is off the air. We have plans. I'm pretty excited about them because I feel like it's going to be a much more happy, upbeat time. Yeah, we'll be talking about things that we're. I don't want to say like we're more excited to talk about because I am excited to talk about the current show. It's just that it's met with trepidation and concern.
Yeah, I think the stuff that we want to talk about too, like it's already happened in the past. There's no big what if kind of looming over.
Yes, yeah. It's
the
all
future of Doctor Who and all of it. Like it's already happened.
Yeah,
it can't hurt us anymore.
It's all signed, sealed, and delivered stuff. We don't have to concern ourselves. But what is this doing with the audience and the perception of the show for the industry and etc. But yeah, we'll see you there. See you next week, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this one. Thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, 5-star rating on Spotify only, please. Thank you. And there's the wave. Tash's lovely wave. There you go.
There
Toodles.
goes my last sanity.
There it goes. Off it goes.